What is going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with Kevole and Dilly Vanilli. We are here for NFL Week 17 picks and predictions. We're going to preview the entire week, have some fun doing it, and we're going to talk about the teams, specifically the games in depth that matter for the playoffs. So specifically,
like Detroit and Green Bay.
Yes, Detroit and Green Bay, that's going to lead the list, as Kevole brought up. We are also going to discuss the Titans and Colts, which was a flex into Sunday Night Football, the most exciting game that the Titans have had in seasons. I actually asked Brett today, I was like, my buddy Brett, I was like, Brett, could there ever be a game that the Titans are in that would be exciting? And we looked at each other and we're like, no. I don't think it's possible. I don't think they could play any team in football and you would say that game's exciting, except because they have to go and play Sunday Night Football at home in front of their home fans against Andrew Luck. That's the closest we can get to an exciting Titans game. So sorry, Titans fans. That's just how I feel. And that's how most NFL fans feel. There's also games like the Eagles and Redskins. The Eagles need to win if they want a shot of getting in. They'll be paying close attention to the Vikings and Bears, who are playing at the exact same time. That's probably one of the bigger games of the week. If the Vikings win, they're in. It's as simple as that. If the Vikings lose, it opens up the door for the Super Bowl champions. You're talking about the Ravens. They win, they're in. If not, if the Steelers beat the Bengals, the Steelers will be paying attention to that game. So there's a couple of things right there. Patriots can seal the number 2 seed, and they'll be paying attention to the Chiefs just in case the Chiefs do fall to the Raiders, but they do play before them. So I think that it's kind of a little different. I think they play at different times. I'm not quite sure about that. So don't quote me there.
Nope. KC, they play the late. They're in the late window.
The Chiefs?
Yep.
Okay, so I was right. All right, so yeah, Patriots will have to play and win to seal the number 2, but then if the Chiefs do lose to the Raiders, then somehow they would get the first. That's probably not going to happen. We'll talk about it, but the Chiefs need to win and then seal the number 1. What other scenarios are there? The Saints already have the number 1 in the NFC. The Texans are fighting to keep the AFC South. If the Texans beat the Jaguars, the Texans win the AFC South. And then if they lose to the Jaguars, which is completely possible, the Sunday Night Football game, Titans and Colts, will be for the division. And is that everything? Chargers can win, and then they're paying attention to the Chiefs as well. Packers Lions doesn't matter as much as Kevole will be looking at that game. Bills Dolphins doesn't matter as much as, Kevole will be looking at that game. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's get into the week.
One other thing.
Sorry.
Actually,
go ahead.
Seahawks do need to win to hold 5th, because if the Vikings win and the Seahawks lose, the Vikings get the 5th seed.
All right, interesting. I did not know that. Okay, let's get into week number 17. We are going to start off with the Dolphins and the Bills. The Dolphins and the Bills. 2 teams. The Dolphins technically, I think, have a chance. I don't know. You have to ask Kevin Durkant.
They're out.
They're out? Oh, okay. I saw on a graph, it said Dolphins at the bottom. So I was like, why are they still in it? But I guess they're not in it. So they can go to 9-7 though, correct?
Yes.
No, I think they're 8-8.
No, they're 8-7 now.
They're 8-7. So they could have a good season. That matters a little bit.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills.
A little bit.
I think there's going to be some bets that could sway either way here, because the Bills line before the season was over under 6 wins, and the Dolphins line before the season was over under 8 wins. So if the Dolphins win, then the people that bet on the Dolphins will gain some money. If the Bills win, then the people that gain that bet that the Bills would go over would win some money. So I think it's pretty interesting just from that regard to look at something. In this game, the game is in Buffalo, so that's the reason I am taking the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bills have a solid defense, and they showed that against the Patriots last week. Despite being ran for over 300 yards, the Patriots were able to execute on the ground pretty efficiently there in that game. but their pass defense is very solid. They don't give up a lot of big plays. They make their opponents beat them, go down the field and drive against them. As for the Dolphins just seem to screw it up at the biggest moments. When they really need a victory, they just haven't been able to get it for the most part. So for the Dolphins, I just think traveling when you're in Miami, a warm climate, a hot place, you go to Buffalo, it's going to be cold. It might even be snowy. We don't know what it's going to be like there. And I think Josh Allen at home, they're going to have a nice game. And I think Josh Allen will be able to run the football against the Dolphins. So I'm going to take the Bills in a low-scoring game, 16-13 to win at home. Who do you guys have?
I just looked at the records. The Dolphins are 7-8 because they lost last week to whoever they lost to. So, yes. This is an interesting game for nobody. Since I am so far behind in picks because of the amazing weeks that both men had, I am going to pick the opposite in certain matchups. So I will go with the Dolphins in this game. Why? Dirk can't. Come on, man. Just give me a win. There's not really much to say here. I think the Bills have actually been playing pretty decent as of late, the defense as well, and Josh Allen's refining his skills to make him look like a better quarterback, and he's been doing well in some departments, especially his legs. But the Dolphins, I think, maybe in this AFC East matchup could just pick up a victory to end the year off with an 8-8 record, which I think would be, I guess, not satisfying, but a little bit more positive at the finish of the season. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins. And plus the Bills, they're going to be in a lower pick for the draft. Maybe they want to help that stock out there. So I'm going to go Dolphins.
I'm going with the Bills. First of all, because I just will say this, I think both coaches should be safe. But I think McDermott might be out, but I think both coaches should be safe. Lot to like about the Bills going forward. I think Josh Allen has some potential. Bills defense, I agree with Mitch. It's a pretty strong defense. There's some things going on there positively. The Dolphins, I don't know how they got 7 wins, but you got 7 wins. Congratulations on doing that. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the head coach is not the problem there. I just think that they got off to a good start this year. They got some injuries. If they stay healthy next year, who knows? But the Bills at home should win this one.
So I forgot to kick it to Dylan for the standings and how we're actually doing in the season. So before we get to our next game, I was so excited, Kevin, to talk about the Bills and the Dolphins. Bro, I forgot
about the game of the week.
I mean, it's such a hype game. I forgot about going to the standings. So Dylan, what's on the line this week for the bottom line viewers out there? Who's in first, who's in second, who's in third? And then what are our overall records looking like?
Well, it was a tough week over here in Dallas for me. I went 10-6, and the rest of the boys went 14-2. Both of you. So that's pretty crazy to me. The standings right now, Mitch is in first, 154, 84-2. His securance on not getting 100 losses this season is all but definite. If he misses every game, he will have 100 losses. But I'm pretty sure that will not happen. So
it's possible.
It's possible, but let's for God's sake hope it's not possible.
I think if I actually tried to pick every game wrong, I still wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, you get at least like 3 right. Like it's almost impossible to go straight or just not give your picks. That's the only 2 ways it can happen.
Can you say my record again? I want to get the winning percentage.
154, 84-2. I don't really know how you're going to figure out 2 in there.
I think you just don't include the 2.
You're not going to include the 2. Okay. My record is 149, 89-2. So I'm looking to get to at least the 150 plateau with 1 game this week. Trying to get to 160 is the real goal. And Kevole, 1 game behind me with this great 14-2 record last week, 148, 90-2. So second and third still in play. And if an amazing week happens, first could be in play. But those are the records.
Hey, we're still beating the experts.
Yes.
Are we?
Yes, absolutely. That's the key.
Is that actually true?
We're not beating is Cynthia Freed.
On NFL Network, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the thing about her, okay, this is what I always say, Kev. Don't actually take who we're picking. Sometimes we're right. Sometimes we're on our money. But just listen to what we actually have to say. and then use your own like examination, your own mind, your own heart, your own gut. Put that all together, put it in a big ball, and then stick it against the board, and you'll probably be good in your picks.
There you go.
All right, let's go to the second game, which is Kevole's game of the week. The Detroit Lions take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Yes, the Green Bay Packers again are favored huge in a game where I don't believe they should be favored huge in. The Detroit Lions actually were dominating the Minnesota Vikings last week. Dominating. A team that needed to win to get a chance in the playoffs. They were dominating them. So the Green Bay Packers, they had an absolute shootout against the New York Jets, which was one of the ones I got wrong. I picked the Jets. I thought they were up by 15 or 16 points, and the Packers came back. And to me, that game basically said Aaron Rodgers, he wanted to show off his skill set. He can still do this at a high level. He can still do the shootout thing. He can still carry a team. So he's saying to all those coaches out there, by the way, Green Bay, interviewing Chuck Pagano and who is the other guy that coached the Colts? He just coached, Caldwell. Chuck Pagano and Caldwell are your first two interviews. If those are one of your coaches, I am automatically eliminating the Green Bay Packers from the 2019 playoffs. I'm just going to put that out there real quick. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think of those interviews?
Pagano is terrible. Jim Caldwell is a little better, but not by much. I don't think that would really suit Mr. Aaron Rodgers personally. I don't think that would be either would be a good matchup.
I don't mind Pagano. He certainly found a way to get Indy into the AFC playoffs a couple of times. Considering how bad that team was, he didn't do a terrible job, but a lot of that was coordinators. I guess they wouldn't be my first two choices. But I think they wanted to get that head start.
It might be just a case, Kevole, where they're trying to interview as many people for the job as possible.
I mean, I think this weekend is going to be very interesting because it depends on Lincoln Riley does against Allen Brown.
I actually don't even know how this works, but because the Packers don't have an owner and their owners are the fans, can the fans veto the coach they want? Like, how does this work?
They're the authority. The fans are the authority?
Yeah, like they're Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in this case.
Oh.
I actually don't know how that works. I want a Packer fan to tell me how that works. Do you guys get like an email and it says like, okay, check the box for what coach you want? Like, how does this work in Green Bay? Let me know. All right. But as for the game, like I said, I think the Packers are definitely favored by way too many points in this game. But nonetheless, I will take the Packers. There's a big reason why I'm taking the Packers. The number one reason is because of what happened last week. I think Aaron Rodgers is basically saying, hey, I can still do this at a high level. I can still ball out there, and I'm still going to put up points. And I know that the Lions played very well against them earlier this season, but the Packers have been significantly better at home. So I think the Packers will finish the season strong and take the victory. Kevole, who are you picking in this game?
I'm also going with the Packers. I don't care how well Aaron Rodgers, congratulations on your game last week. You still did not deserve a Pro Bowl over Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson played better than you this year. Fact. That's all I have to say. We'll get into Russell Wilson a little bit later. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Green Bay with their coach, and it's going to also be interesting to see what happens with Matt Patricia and Matthew Stafford, because this might be Matthew Stafford's last game in Detroit. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but it's going to be interesting.
Billy, would you trade Dak straight up for Matt Stafford?
I think you've asked this question to me before. I mean, I like Matthew Stafford. He would open up the door. He's a better player, but like I feel like we just need to set with unless we have a bigger player. I think we need a better player in order to be like, all right, let's trade that player, or trade for that quarterback.
If
The
you're Matthew
question is,
Stafford,
would you trade Dak Prescott for Matt Stafford? No, a political answer. I want a real answer.
It's my answer. If it's based on our offensive setup, no. But as a better player, yes. I don't think we need to be trading him because of how our offense is schemed around Dak. That's the answer I'm going to give you.
Political. Kevole.
Been learning this for years.
If you were a team in need of a quarterback, would you sign or trade for Matt Stafford? I don't think he's going anywhere, but because you brought it up, might as well make it entertaining.
I would consider it. I wonder if he's going to ask to get out.
He might. I know. I don't think he's really a huge fan of what they've done with him this year.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't maybe the time for him to move on, and that's entirely possible. But I mean, it's going to be an interesting offseason in Detroit, and I think that there's a lot of pressure this offseason for Detroit to get this right. I don't know how happy they were overall with Matt Patricia, especially at the start. You're right. There were times that they dominated games like against Minnesota, but they're not getting the wins, and that's.
I think, though, they knew coming into the year this was going to be a long process. I don't think we were realistic with the Detroit Lions. We basically line for line, pick for pick, are along the lines of what the Detroit Lions have done this year before the season even started. So I think the Detroit Lions knew this was going to be a long process, and that's exactly what's happened. Like, I think they're going to take this offseason, and I think you're right. There's going to be more pressure this offseason than there was last offseason. So, they had the rookie coach, the whole new system. But next year, it's going to be 1 year in the system. Everyone's used to it. Everyone's used to the practice regimen, what the coach expects from his players, and that sort of stuff. And also, I think they'll be able to go out there and sign a few more talented guys.
Okay.
All right. And Dylan, who are you picking?
In this matchup, I'm big in the Packers. They played really solid last week. I should say the second half in overtime. Their offense exploded, and I just don't see a lot of confidence in what the Lions at this point, even in the Week 17. Aaron Rodgers will tell everybody that he has something to prove, even though they're eliminated. Packers.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Houston Texans in the last game of the season. The Houston Texans, as I brought up, they win, they're in, and they seal the AFC South. If the Patriots lose to the Jets, they then win and then go to the number 2 seed. If they lose, they are going to be a wild card team, but they would drop into the 6th seed, and the winner of the Colts and Titans would make it unless those two teams tie, I believe. So I haven't even thought about ties, but I'm not going to think about them. So I'm picking the Texans because they need to win the game. The Texans earlier in the year, they won, I think it was 20-7, something of that nature. It was a defensive game. I think the Texans are a team that I think match up very well with the Jaguars, specifically at home because they're not traveling. They're not having to worry about the noise in the stadium. The pass rush isn't as good for Jacksonville on the road, and the Texans' offensive line isn't having to deal with that. But at home, their defense really takes over, and the Jacksonville wants to run the ball. It doesn't really work against the Texans, who are great against the run, and I think that will be taken away early. I think the Texans get, around 20 to 24 points and seal this victory 24-10 over the Blake Bortles Jaguars. Dylan, who are you picking?
It's weird. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but if the Texans lose and the Colts or Titans win, and I think the winner of the Colts-Titans game gets the 3rd seed, and the Texans will get the 6th seed, so they play each other regardless. It just flips the home field advantage. I think that's the case. I'm not sure. But, this is an interesting game for the Texans. Last week was a crushing loss. They were able – Deshaun Watson had a really good game. He was able to make some really good throws, and they were in that game for the most part. Their defense just wasn't able to hold up that last-second field goal. But this week it's the Jaguars, and they are starting Blake Bortles this week. Ooh-wee! So, I'm excited to see that come back to life. And even though I need to make up in points here on the standings, this is not going to be one of them I'm going to be changing. It is the Texans all the way for me. They need to get this victory and get that 3 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans here too, but I think the Jags are going to give them a tough match. I have some concerns about the Texans heading into the playoffs. I mean, God love Nick Foles, but and it's a great story, but there were a lot of open receivers in Philadelphia last week on that Texans secondary, and there's a lot of injuries. The loss of Demaryius Thomas, that is going to be a huge problem for them in the playoffs, I think, because I think he's a guy that they counted on to kind of take away some stuff from D-Hop. And yes, they have some unknown guys doing some things, and Deshaun Watson, it can be some magic, but I'm a little concerned about what the Texans do. I think they need to put up a really good game here, but I think Jags are going to give them a fight. So I think it's a close Texans win.
All right.
And Doug Marrone should be safe in Jacksonville.
Interesting. I don't know if he will be. We'll see. I have actually heard rumblings that Mr. Coughlin wants to come back and coach.
Well, then the Jacksonville Jaguars will not make the playoffs next year.
Yeah, okay. So we're all on the Texans. We all believe the Texans will secure the 3 seed. Let's get to the comments. Dylan, there's lots of people in the comments. They're all excited about Week 17. Let's go talk to them real quick, and then we'll go to the New England Patriots and the New York Jets.
Yeah, big-time comments in here. Bodo, yes, I know it is pouring rain outside. That's what I've been hearing for the last 30 minutes. Besides this, it's just background noise. A lot of people in here. Durkant does not have faith in his own team. He says, we're losing to Buffalo. No, sir, that cannot happen this week in terms of picks. Help me out, brother. Happy Boxing Day, Mr. Wong says. Yes, happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day, baby.
Not here in the States. I have no idea what the actual concept is, but happy Boxing Day.
Boxing Day is basically like the deals the day after Christmas. Like there's a massive sale for stuff after Christmas.
So it's the Thanksgiving or Christmas version, or excuse me, Canadian version of Black Friday?
It's essentially that, even though we do have Black Friday, it's just not as big.
Okay. Makes sense. Deshaun says Seahawks are going to be the Cardinals. I know we'll talk about Kevole. He's very scared about those Cardinals for some weird
for some reason, because they're the worst team in football. Easily.
Weird reason. 28-21 Bills victory, says Deshaun. Durkant's got a Bills victory for them. So he's just all gone on his team. Let's see here. Dolphins ain't going to win 47-0. That would be absolutely ridiculous on every level. Durkant says Steelers are going to miss the playoffs. We'll talk about that in a minute. Ultra's got his famous power schmankings, but it's not top 10. It's top 15.
Top 15.
15. That's basically half the league right there.
I actually really want to know his top 12.
All right, here we go. Saints 1, Bears 2, 3 Rams. Yeah, the Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Rewind. Bears 2.
Bears 2. Bears number dose.
He's had too many eggnogs.
3 Rams, 4 Chargers, 5 Chiefs, 6 Ravens, 7 Patriots, 8 Texans, 9 Sea Chickens, 10 Cowboys, 11 Colts, and 12 Vikings.
You know what's funny about his list is that like 4 of the top 6 could be out in the first round.
They could. Bears.
That's hilarious to me.
Rams, Ravens. I don't know, man. I don't know. Technically everybody can lose, but it's an interesting list. I don't know about Bears.
But I don't mind it. I mean, the AFC, I think you could order any of the 6 any way you want, and I won't get mad at you. As for the NFC, I think it's pretty clear. It's still the Saints first, and then I still think it's pretty clear it's the Rams second.
Still pretty clear?
I think it's still I think there's still like a little line. If the Rams are playing it, I don't trust the Bears on the road in the playoffs. I just don't.
You want that home field advantage.
If the Bears were at home, if the Rams lose to the 49ers, the Bears get the 2 seed, totally different ball game. I would put the Bears second. But the Bears second overall to me is ludicrous.
Ludicrous.
Like the rapper. Ludicrous.
I just want to know, can I have a conversation with Elliot Harrison from NFL Network? Yeah, how do you beat one of the best teams in the league and move down in power rankings? Could someone explain that to me?
He put the Seahawks down in power rankings.
Yes, he did.
Chiefs.
Yes.
And also, we'll talk about the Chiefs in a bit. But, like, when is it going to come down to, okay, the Chiefs, yeah, they have a lot of close losses, but close losses don't count in the playoffs. You still get eliminated.
You're gonna get fucked if that happens, especially if we got the defense we're gonna talk about.
You know what I mean, though? Like everyone talks about the Chiefs, like, first off, they've lost to all the really good teams they've played, but then people are like, oh, but they were close. I'm like, well, in the playoffs, it doesn't matter.
The thing is that their offense is so great. We've talked about this for weeks, but like that secondary is, I swear to God, the worst secondary of the decade. I'm not joking. They are so fucking bad at playing their defense. Not the defensive line, not even their linebackers.
I want to ask a question, Dylan. Who would you have second?
Who would I have second?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have had the Chargers if they had beaten the Ravens. I would have said that. That would have been my number 2, but they didn't. Right now, as sad as it is, I got to put the Rams. I'm saying it as sad as it is because there's so many teams clustered there, and they haven't been strong in weeks. But I think they're the number 2 team.
I still have the Chargers at 2.
I think the Chargers are the 3rd because they took that.
I just can't put the Chargers at 2 because there's like a strong chance they don't even win in the first round.
But the way I look at that, though, is they were on a really big roll before that Ravens game. And that was one – I was thinking about that even before. Like, that was one they were kind of due to lose. I don't know. To me, the way that game went didn't really – it was more impressive for the Ravens, and it was like the Chargers didn't – they lost, but I didn't feel like –
they lost, but like they're going to have to play Baltimore in Baltimore.
Yeah, they're pretty much going to have to. Well, the Ravens can still.
Unless the Ravens lose.
Yeah. Somehow.
I mean, that's just my problem. Like, because in my power rankings, I'm also I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm also like looking ahead at the playoffs, and I'm like, I don't even like when it comes to this playoff predictions video, Dilly. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Dude, it's going to be so quick. I mean, it's going to be lightning. Like,
you might as well flip a coin on, like, the whole AFC.
It's all going to be based on matchups.
You know, you can make a legitimate argument right now that the top 3 teams in the NFC right now, in terms of playing quality, are the Saints, Seahawks, and Eagles. Right now, like in terms of the 3 playing the best, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the Rams are not better than the Seahawks, although I think that we can beat them in the playoffs. But
look at for you, Kevole. If the one and done video, don't worry about that. I think the Bears are still playing pretty well. I would put them 4th. It's only because they didn't even really try that hard last week and they still won. So I mean,
if Nick Mullins makes a different decision,
I'm not gonna play coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm not gonna play coulda, shoulda, woulda though, Kev. It already happened.
You know what's insane is that the Chiefs in Week 17 could move from home field to 5th seed.
Yeah. They can be 1st seed to 5th seed. Like, how fucking insane is that?
They can be 1st, 2nd, or 5th seed.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. All right, let's get to the next game. It's the New England Patriots versus the New York Jets in New England, Week 17. I'm taking the Pats. I do like what the Jets did last week on offense against the Packers, but I do like what the Patriots have done on defense over the last couple weeks, and they've been really good at home. They have not lost at home yet this season, and I think they finished strong at home going into the playoffs. They do need this win to secure the 2 seed, and I think they get it. I think what we're seeing from the Patriots is if they're going to win in the playoffs, they're going to have to rely on Sony Michel in the running game to get things going, and then they're going to hit a few plays in the passing game to Edelman. But the Patriots in the passing game, they really need someone to step up, whether that's Chris Hogan or Cordell Patterson or Philip Dorsett. they need something, or they can hope for Gronk to get a little healthier after the bye. I mean, it's just, other than Edelman, it's going to be a struggle for them to consistently get people open and to consistently make plays through the passing game. But they can definitely run the football with the best of them, and their defense is playing really well, and of course their coaching is top-notch. So while I'm worried a bit about the Patriots this year, I think that because there's no clear-cut favorite, I think they can play with just about anybody and beat just about anybody. So I think we'll see how they look in Week 17. I think they'll have a strong game defensively, and I think they'll score enough points against the Jets defense that I don't think is very good. So I'm going to go 27-16 Patriots.
Jets offense looked good last week. It was impressive to see a guy that we've ragged on for a year. And Sam Darnold actually plays some pretty good football. He's been playing pretty good the last 3 weeks. I'm not gonna not give him credit. And then the Patriots, they got their job done here. I think they're gonna get this victory as well. It would be nice for the Jets probably to get this victory. But I think the Patriots are gonna win in a pretty simple victory.
Yeah, I'm going with the Patriots here as well. I just think they're going to be getting ready for the playoffs. I think it would be better for them to have the 2 seed than the 3 seed. Not only because of history, because I just think it's going to be tough on the road for the Patriots right now. But who knows? The AFC, as we've just talked about, is completely wide open, and Todd Bowles is not safe. So good luck, Todd Bowles, on your future endeavors, as it'll be a sad Monday for you.
I think a lot of Patriots fans are hoping that somehow the Chiefs can fall from the 1 seed in the playoffs, and then the Patriots can hopefully win that divisional game and get home field throughout the playoffs. I think that's what a lot of Patriots fans are hoping for. It's a possibility, but we'll see what happens. We'll just take it one game at a time. Panthers at the Saints. This game doesn't matter because the Saints did clinch the number 1 seed, and the Panthers are putting everyone on IR, including their entire offensive line and their second-string quarterback. That being said, I am going with Teddy Bridgewater, and the Saints to win because I think this is a game that a lot of people won't really be paying attention to, but NFL GMs will be paying attention to because they're going to take a look and see how Teddy Bridgewater looks. With a good offense and some playmakers and also like a really schematically advanced offense. We'll see what Teddy Bridgewater can do, how he looks with his feet, his arm, and I think he's going to have a pretty good game here at home. And the Saints will win a meaningless game, 27-24 over the Panthers.
You said Heineke, he's on IR.
Yes, they have Tyler. I think it's Tyler Allen. It could be Jake Allen. I don't know. I keep the first name keeps escaping me. I think it's Tyler. It might be Jake.
Since we don't even know the first name of the quarterback playing for the Panthers this week, I want to do this one. I want to pick the Panthers just because I'm so far behind, and I might still change it. But since I don't even know the first name of this kid, which means I have not watched him, I'm going to pick the Saints. Bridgewater, like you said, is playing. And I think he wants to improve his stock because he's probably going to be one of the better free agent quarterbacks on the market this year. So I'm going to go with the Saints, but I could change it just based on me being Dilly.
Man, Denver, you could have spent a lot less millions of dollars on this Teddy Bridgewater guy than you did on Case Keenum, and maybe have been better. Just saying, we'll get to Denver. I have some things to say about Denver. I got a rant about Denver. Yeah. I'm actually, you know what? For the hell of it, I'm going to go with the Panthers here. Okay. This is a meaningless game, really. Good luck to Kyle Allen. And good luck to Teddy B, because I think that's been a nice story. But I'm going to go with the Panthers here just for the hell of it.
All right. Since Kev's on the boat, I'll go on the boat with him. Panthers.
Cowboys versus G-Men. Dilly Vanilli, what are you looking for in this matchup?
We are playing most of our starters in this game besides Zach Martin. Why? I don't really know. The one thing I'm really looking forward to in this game is polish up the offensive play calling. Make sure you have something going for the offense, because while this game doesn't matter, the next one definitely will. So I'm looking for some more plays that we haven't seen out the course of the season. Look for they'll probably play a half, I'm assuming, maybe a quarter, but I want to see the play calling from Linehan, see if that can be fixed. Try to see if anything can get going. We know what Zeke can do, but I just want to see if Dak has some new tools in the passing game in terms of like some new play calls, some new fresh styles. I think the defense is going to be fine. Nothing to really worry about there. I'm picking the Cowboys. I will be watching this game, but not really as intensely as I do most Cowboys games, and not all. I just want to see something going from the play calling. That's the biggest thing this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. We'll talk about them more next week as long as the matchup goes what we think it is, which it may not. But listen, Giant fans, it's time to let go of Eli. It's just time.
Please.
Kev, you haven't heard? He's coming back.
I know. 932-year-old Eli Manning continuing. And I think it's an interesting offseason also for the Giants. I think Shermer will be safe. I still don't think he was the right guy, but that's okay. They've got to let go of Eli, but they won't, and the Giants will continue to be one of the worst teams in professional sports. Although they have played better the last little bit, but
I'm going with the Cowboys just because I don't really care. I don't really know why. But as Dylan said, they're playing most of their players. So that being said, they should win. I think if you're a Cowboys fan too, you kind of want to see what they really have on the road, because they've struggled at times on the road this year, as most teams in the NFL this year has for some reason. But the Cowboys, the last road game they had, they got obliterated by the Colts. So hopefully they can pick it up here and get a road victory over the Giants. But the Giants certainly won't go quietly. I think the Giants will play really hard for their coach. And I think, guys like Saquon will be wanting to put up 2,000 yards on the season. And I think that the Giants will just want to play hard because it's the Cowboys. But I think the Cowboys will win this game. I'll say they win 20-17 over the Giants. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game, again, doesn't matter. Ultra will be watching it, though, because Atlanta is suiting up. Atlanta with a huge victory. They've been playing better. I mean, just because the season's basically over for them. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know why they're trying to ruin their pick. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think, will win this game because this is just a game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win. I don't know why. They're just going to win it. And also, I think there's a sense of trying to keep your job if you're Dirk Cotter, even though I think that he's going to be let go anyways. But yeah, Jameis Winston, he's going to just chuck it and pray, and the Bucs will win.
Well, I wanted to pick the Bucs, but since Mitch over there has picked the Bucs, this is a flip game. I'll pick the Falcons. They played well, like you said, for absolutely no reason, but they're getting the job done. And in this game, try hard against your divisional opponent that also cannot make the playoffs. So I'll go Falcons.
By the way, Ron Rivera may be out. Just saying, in Carolina, I forgot to say that.
Yeah. Good point. Do you think that's the right call? I do remember having a conversation with AC about this before the season started, and I think he will remain as the coach. As I said before the year, if the Panthers do have a bad year, even it was unfortunate more than anything, because if Cam Newton's healthy, you could see this team fighting in this game to win and get into the playoffs. I do believe that, but because Cam Newton wasn't healthy, they dropped a bunch of those games. But if you're also a Panthers fan and you're saying, well, Cam Newton's been carrying this team because Ron Rivera, he's not doing anything with a subpar Cam Newton, you have a fair point. Perfectly fine. I think the defense hasn't been what it should be under Ron Rivera, a defensive coach. In my opinion, I think he sticks around for another year. They give him one more go. What do you guys think?
It's tough because they haven't won since October. They're on such a long losing streak that you almost have no choice but to make a change. And yes, there was a bunch of injuries, but there were also a bunch of coaching decisions as well. There's the skill on offense, other than Christian McCaffrey, isn't necessarily there. I don't know. There's some interesting eyes out there that it's probably the way the league is going, that if you go with a younger guy in Carolina, it might be a better option. It could be a place where Lincoln Riley could be a good fit in Carolina.
I'd actually really like to see that personally. The guy like C-Mac, he could coach a guy like that. I think he'll get one more year. It also just kind of shows that the receivers are not very good when McCaffrey has 103 receptions and he's still going. Like he has to be the number one option. That's more than 6 catches a game. I'm not saying that that's McCaffrey's strength, but still. That being said, I just think he'll get one more chance. He's been there for years. He's helped them get to a Super Bowl. That kind of what's the word? The kind of good things he's given that team over the last 6 or 7 years is going to push them to get one more opportunity. And if he doesn't, he'll get the axe like McCarthy.
All right, fair enough. The Cleveland Brownies take on the Baltimore Ravens.
Falcons Buccaneers game.
We picked.
I didn't pick this one. I'm picking the Falcons. Dirk Cutter, good luck in your future endeavors.
Oh, okay.
And Dan Quinn will stay, but Steve Sarkisian will be gone.
All right. So the Brownies versus the Ravens. This game actually means something, unlike a lot of the games we've already discussed. The Baltimore Ravens win. The Baltimore Ravens are in. And that is why I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. Because with John Harbaugh, one of my personal favorite coaches, as I say every year, almost every week, they win these games. They don't lose these games. They're not the Steelers. Shot at Mike Tomlin. I think that the Ravens will win because they're at home. They just don't lose at home. I understand Browns have a lot of hype. Mayfield, everybody's saying, oh, the Ravens should be scared of them. Watch. This week, Ravens win 26-6.
While I have more confidence in the Ravens winning this game than not, I'm picking the Brownies. Again, picks wise. Got to come back in here. But second, I think the Bake Man wants to tell everybody that he wants to be appreciated here. Okay, if they win, this is the first. It will be the first Browns winning season since 2007. Guys, 2007 was the last time they had a winning record. I think the Bake Man wants to do that. He's waking up feeling dangerous because he knows that there are playoff implications on the line, even if it isn't for his own team. Shots at Hugh Jackson. I think overall, the Ravens are very good. They're very, very good. And if they get in the playoffs, it's not a team you want to play. Personally, I don't think you want to play this team in the playoffs if you're most of the AFC teams because they're so close together. But I think the Brownies are going to do everything, and I mean pull out all the stops. Jarvis Landry throwing 70-yard touchdowns. Boom, we're going to do that
Bro,
again.
that was a perfect pass.
It was insane. It was the farthest he could possibly throw a ball, but it was a great throw.
I think Jarvis basically said to Odell, because they're like best buds, I'm going to outdo you, bro. And then he went out there and he slings it.
You throwing 50-yard touchdowns? Hold my beer.
I will say, though, Freddie Kitchens, he needs to stick around.
Has to. He's been tremendous as an offensive coordinator. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Browns. I just maybe I got confidence in the Bake Man. So there you go. I still think the Ravens will win, but in terms of picks, and maybe just a little hype, Browns.
Kevole, did you pick?
First of all,
okay.
I just want to say something about the Cleveland. I think congratulations to the Cleveland Browns. Because they had, the best move that they've made in their franchise's history is they've got rid of Hugh Jackson. I kind of like the way that Baker's been calling Hugh Jackson. I think that's one of the few. If there's a nomination for Feud of the Year in the NFL, Baker versus Hugh wins it. I think Baker is put his stamp on this team, on this franchise, and
I would actually nominate Chiefs versus defense. I think that's a pretty good one too.
That's number 2 in feuds of the year for sure. I think that this Rookie of the Year race is a lot closer than a lot of people are assuming. I think Baker's made a really good statement. I think probably it will be Saquon, but Baker's made a statement for this franchise. And, man, my heart wants the Ravens to win.
Why? Can you explain why?
Because
do you like the Ravens?
I just think that the Steelers have done everything that they can to shoot themselves in the foot.
It's the Steelers thing. I forgot.
But I just have this feeling that Cleveland's going to – I'm picking the Browns. I'm going to go with the upset here. I just have this feeling.
All right. I'm fine with that. I don't want to see the Ravens in the offs. Get rid of them. All right.
Hey, if the Ravens lose and the Steelers lose, it's –
It's a Christmas miracle for the Brownies. That's what they're going for.
Raiders versus Chiefs. Now the Chiefs win. They secure the #1 seed. And as close as that game sort of was in Oakland that 1 week against the Raiders, I think the Chiefs just know they have to win this game. They'll come out and they'll win. This is not a game where they're not expecting it. They're not going to put in a full effort. They will, and they need to get tuned up before the playoffs. They just dropped one against the Seahawks. They realize that. They'll pick up this win. The Chiefs will win over the Raiders. But I do expect the Raiders to go out there, put through a full effort, and I do think they'll keep it close for a while until the Chiefs make one big play on defense. I just think, the Chiefs will score all day long. That's not going to be an issue against the Raiders. The Raiders will keep up to them for a bit, but then something's going to happen where the Chiefs defense makes a strip sack, an interception, something like that, and then the Chiefs will go on to win by 14. I'm going to say 38-24 Chiefs.
Kev, in terms of your comment with the Browns, Baker made this statement a couple minutes ago. I'm not trying to make friends outside of this locker room in terms of Hugh Jackson. So there you go. More fire, more fuel to the fire.
Don't you think that's what the Cleveland Browns have been missing for all this time?
An edge,
attitude,
fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why I wanted them to pick him in the first place, because he has charisma and he gives something to them.
I don't remember, guys, if I was talking to you or if I was talking to somebody else. But with the NFL, to me, it really seems like it's not about the players. It's not even about the coaching. I really think it's about the organization, like the what's that word? It's not really the system, but just like the belief in a process.
Mindset,
something like that. It's a word in that category. I just can't quite think of it. But it's like a belief in a process. The NFL is more a belief in what you're putting forth, what you're doing. In that everybody's on the same page. Everybody from the quarterback to the kicker to the punter to the practice squad. Everybody is doing their role and their job. And then in other sports, I feel like it's more star-driven, like the NBA. It's more who you have on your team. In the NFL, I think it's really dictated more on belief and system and that sort of thing. And I think that's what the Browns we've seen this season is starting to take place with the Browns. And I think a big part of that is Baker Mayfield, as Kev brought up, but hopefully they can bring in the right coach to kind of steer that the right direction.
I think it should be Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
I think they got it.
I would prefer to have Freddie Kitchens as the OC and hire a head coach.
I wouldn't mind Greg Williams there. I think he's brought a little bit of a swag. I know he's a controversial guy, but it's almost works perfectly in Cleveland.
Bounty Gate. It's been working right now. Baker likes the system as it is. So I don't know. By the way, what sucks is that if they didn't tie in week 1, they'd be playing for the AFC North, which really sucks. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. Chiefs Raiders. The Raiders had a nice and actually pretty solid victory against the Broncos, but also played themselves out of the #1 pick. So, congrats. I don't know what to think about that. And the Chiefs need this for the #1 seed. They're not going to lose this game.
We also have to hopefully never see two teams play on that ugly field once again, because that field is a joke.
Well, the field that they're planning to move to next year is also a joke. Oh. And first of all, I'm picking Kansas City here. I think they'll get the #1 seed, but I do want to, I've been hard on the Raiders, but Derek Carr over 300 passes without an interception. He's had a solid second half. I think he's getting better. And I think Gruden is smart. I know that he took some heat with these trades with Mack and Cooper. But I think he looked at the situation and where they are right now, where they're going to be next year, which is the Oakland, Sacramento, San Francisco, Seattle, Phoenix, LA, all of America Raiders, said, okay, next year's probably a write-off. We've got 5 picks. And when they get to Vegas, they're going to start to contend. They're building this team for Vegas. So in a couple of years, we're going to see the Raiders start to build. So maybe Gruden isn't looking good now, but I think in the long term, maybe the Raiders are going to be a little bit better than we think. It's a risky proposition, but it's a healthy risk because they're in a really terrible situation right now in terms of home field. And if they end up playing in Levi Stadium, that field is garbage. That is the second worst field in the National Football League. And if San Francisco and the Raiders have to play in that, oh my gosh. Anyway, there'll be some serious injuries.
Bengals versus Steelers, Kevole.
Well, you know what? Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers do not deserve to be in the playoffs. I'll say that. I don't think that this has been that good of a team. I think they've made some bizarre coaching decisions. Should Tomlin go? Not necessarily. I think Tomlin has established a thing. This isn't on Ben. Ben's had a pretty solid year. It's not even on Juju Smith-Schuster, who fumbled the ball. You kind of understand sort of the 4th down gamble last week. But their defense, 3rd and 20. And Michael Thomas it's not like a tough call. It's not like he made an incredible catch. He was miles wide open. I'm sorry. The Pittsburgh Steelers do not deserve to be in the playoffs. They don't. But they're going to get in. They're beating the Bengals because the Bengals have Hugh Jackson. So I'm sorry.
Kev, as big of a hater as you are to the Steelers, do you think that they could make a run if they make it?
No. No, I don't think I don't think that they match up with any. I think that their matchup with anybody is going to be a really difficult matchup because their defense can't make that stop. We're having the same conversation with KC, but Pittsburgh has that same problem. But the bigger problem here is, as good as Ben has been this year, he's not Mahomes, and they don't have the same amount of weapons. And I think that they do miss Le'Veon. I do.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I think that's hurt him a lot. And no, I don't see a run here.
See, personally, I think that they could make a run if they make it.
You think they could make a run?
It's possible.
I think they could.
It's possible.
The AFC is so clustered with teams that are right around the same amount of talent and play level that
just think about it. They almost beat the Saints in New Orleans. They were like a play away.
Yeah, if he doesn't fumble, who knows, right?
Yeah, I think they can make a run. So if you're a Steelers fan, you pray, you hope. Because I'm saying, as much as I fear the Ravens, I think the Ravens will get to a certain point in the playoffs where they'll lose. Like they might pull off 1 upset, maybe even 2, but I don't see them pulling off 3, 4. Okay, it just takes too much for them to do that. Like they have to play excellent defense. They have to run the football really well. They have to get great special teams. Their coaching has to be on point. With the Steelers, it's more they're very talented. We've seen them beat good teams this year, and they've played well as of late. So if they can put that together and push through the playoffs, I think they can beat the Chargers at home. I think that they can go to Kansas City and win. I think they can beat the Patriots. So for me, it's like I could see that happening. You know, I don't think they're going to make it because I think the Ravens will secure their job and do their thing. But I'm saying if the Steelers get in, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I guess to me, I think the Chargers are one of their worst matchups, though. And if they get by them, I think KC will be tough on them too if they get the number 1 seed. So
But
it's
I
a
want
really tough path for Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and I agree with you about Baltimore. I mean, I think as much as phenomenal as the story as Lamar has been, there is going to be that wall.
Yeah.
I will say this though about this game, guys. Let's go back in time to around this time last year, week 17. The Bengals were playing the Ravens. The Ravens needed to win that game to make the playoffs. And they went down the field, and Tyler Boyd made the catch with like 40 seconds to take them out of the playoffs. This year, I know it's not Andy Dalton throwing the ball, but I'm going to go ballsy. The Bengals are going to beat the Steelers.
You're on crack. Vontaze Burfict's going to hurt like 6 people.
Vontaze Burfict just suffered his 7th concussion, so he's out of this game.
Oh, I was hoping he'd play.
He's not going to be playing. But I think history is going to repeat itself here, and the Bengals will take them out. They just want to fight. I know it's Jeff Driscoll, but it's going to be an upset.
I will give you $10 if the Bengals win.
All right.
By the way, Marvin Lewis, good luck in your future endeavors.
Okay. Philadelphia Eagles versus Washington Redskins. But before we get to that, get to the chat.
I'm gonna get so flamed for that comment, but I have no cares. Let's go. Where did I leave off here? Let's start here. Yes, Justin Herbert. He's gonna be staying in college. He is staying back to Oregon. So the number 1 quarterback prospect, no more. It looks like it's gonna be Dwayne Haskins. That'll be interesting. Or Will Grier. Let's see. They're saying the Texans game is going to be a little bit closer against the Jaguars. That'll be interesting. The Bengals defense is pretty bad. That will scare me in this game. We'll talk about that. Bodo's still high on his Ravens prediction. He thinks they can still make it to the Super Bowl. He thinks they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Well, you'll see my predictions video Monday morning. You'll see Mitch's as well. I don't know how far we have either of them going, but
I'll do one too.
And Kev will have one later in the week. Awesome. Yeah, we did that last year, right? Did you make one last year? A trio. And then we'll have our own team prediction.
Hey, are we going to do the predictions with the Sports Fury?
What can I say on here?
All right. Okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the politics.
Oh, wait, something happened?
No. It's just we haven't filmed with them all year, so I don't know.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything from them.
Or maybe let's get the Waterboy guy on.
Yes. I'd like to get Luke on here.
I can set that up.
All right. I like that.
He's a Cowboys fan.
Thank you, Kev.
No, he's a Ravens fan.
Okay.
Ravens fan. Which will be interesting. So, I like that. Let's see. By the way, nothing against Sports Fury. They're really good. They're very nice guys. Let's see here. Not Todd Bowles, it's Todd Blows. Am I right? Yes, he is horrific. Luca was in here just a couple minutes ago, like 25 minutes ago. What's up?
Robot
Luca?
guy puts in quotes the water boy guy.
The water boy guy. The Saints are gonna be the Panthers, says Deshaun. Let's see if we got any here.
We got tons of comments, bro. Come on.
Tons.
Figure it out.
Robot says Cowboys are going to win because Eli is garbage. Well, the Giants haven't figured that out yet.
That is factually correct.
I have no idea why. Falcons by 17, says Deshaun. Let's look for a little bit more. People are picking the Ravens, of course. They're big in their matchup against the Brownies. Not a single person picking the Brownies besides us two over here on this channel. Excuse me. Are going to win the Super Bowl. He's already made a Super Bowl prediction. We're not even at the end of the regular season. We're not at that point yet, but he is making that prediction. Somebody says the Chiefs are going to hold the Raiders to 10 points? And the answer is, how can they hold any team to 10 points? I don't even think they can hold my grandma to 10 points. And she's one person and, older. So I don't know. I know that I highly doubt that. Who is on the hot seat for Black Monday? Who do you have as being fired on Monday?
Ooh, Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go through the teams.
Yeah, go ahead. I think Dirkey's going to be fired. Kev, if you're here, if you want to give any votes.
I have 7 gone.
Holy cannolis.
I have Bowles, Cutter.
Bowles will be gone. Cutter will be gone.
Yeah.
Carthy's already gone. I think Jay Gruden is highly up in the air.
He's 80% on my list. He's good.
I think he's gone.
Broncos already fired their coach.
Did the Broncos fire Joseph?
I thought so.
No, they haven't yet.
No, okay, he's gone.
He's gone.
I think Patricia's gone.
I think Bowles is, or not Bowles. Cardinals coach
Wilkes
gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go through my list.
Lewis is gone too. Those are all mine.
Okay, let me go through my list again here. Sorry.
Patricia's safe.
Is Gase gone?
No, Gase will be safe.
Here's my list. Bowles, Lewis, Joseph, Gruden, Patricia, Rivera, Cutter, Wilkes. So I have 8.
And Rivera too. Yeah, I forgot about that. Interesting. So we're seeing a lot of people. If 8 happens, that's a fourth of the NFL gone. That's so sad. We'll see though. I'm expecting probably 5. I will say. I think a lot of those candidates are going to be fired, but I think some of them will have one more opportunity. Let's see here. How much?
Bodo said he's going to give you $50 if the Bungles win.
Bets. I'm loving these bets. I mean, they're not bets because I didn't bet the 50 way the other way, but that would be awesome. Dirk Kent also says, how much eggnog you drinking? I mean, maybe just a little bit, Not gonna say much. But that's it. That is for comments right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's where I'm at too at this point.
All right.
I picked Vegas.
All right. Okay, let's get to the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington Redskins. It's as simple as this. The Redskins are out. They have nothing to play for. Yes, they're at home, but the Eagles, they're on a mission to one last chance. Big Dick Nick, he's coming in. He's going to get this victory. The Eagles are just playing better as a team with Nick Foles at quarterback. It just seems like the offense schematically is better. They're pulling out trick plays. They're doing all these. Their offensive line is blocking better in the pass and the running game. The defense is getting pressure. It just seems like everybody's elevated, and they're just trying to make that last push into the playoffs. And, of course, if the Vikings do lose, then the Eagles can get in. I think the Eagles will go all out in this game and pick up the victory, do their job, and have to hope for a Bears victory.
Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles here too. I think that this is I don't know what to make of the Eagles in the sense of, yes, this has been a great little run, and I knew that this was coming. I think it's going to be very interesting. I'll spoil it. I think the Eagles are in the playoffs. I just think I don't know who, if I'm the Eagle, who's a better matchup for them, the Bears or the Rams. I think that that's really interesting. Foles is magic. Is it going to run out, though? Man, it won't run out this week, but they're the most to me, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be the most interesting team in the playoffs to see what people see, because you could see a legitimate argument for some people to say that they could go on a run and win that first game against the Bears or the Rams, whoever they're playing. But you could also see them getting blown out.
Yeah.
You really could. Like, like that Texans, like as much as Foles was incredible, that Texans defense was garbage last week.
Oh,
like,
well, the thing
awful.
that I have to say about Nick Foles so far is he played the Rams secondary. We know how bad it's been this year. And then he played the Texans secondary. We know how bad it's been. You know, like the Eagles, when they block up front, they're going to give any quarterback time because they have a really talented offensive line. And if they can get enough time versus some of these pass rushes like the Rams and the Texans, those secondaries are not very good. So, I mean, those big plays weren't exactly expected, but if you looked at the course of the season at those defenses, you knew that they were going to come.
And just one thing, as much as I'm pounding on the Rams, the one thing I will say is how important was that game against the Eagles last week? Like, really?
Not important.
That wasn't super important. It was more important. The Eagles needed that more than the Rams. That's I'm not, you know, I know the Eagle fans will be like, how dare you? But just I think that there should be a little bit of caution with what we see with the Eagles, but they are going to be the most interesting team they're the most interesting team to me in the playoffs because I could see arguments either way.
They'll definitely be interesting. They're one to look forward to. In some crazy way, they just play better with Foles at times. It's very strange. I'm going to pick the Eagles. This is a game they have to win, and I don't see them losing. The Eagles and the Redskins are the Redskins.
All right. LA Chargers, Denver Broncos. Chargers win. They can possibly get the first seed. We already predicted the Chiefs will hold on to the 1 seed. It won't really affect the Chargers too much because they play at the same time. So the Chargers will be playing just to play. And I think the Chargers will win comfortably. I think this is going to be a game where in the first half, they're up by a decent margin where they're able to kind of take it easy in the fourth quarter. I think Phillip Rivers puts on a good game. I think they get back on track offensively in this game after a tough one against a tough Ravens defense. And they'll beat the Broncos. The Broncos have completely fallen apart as a team on offense and defense.
The Denver Broncos should be embarrassed. That was from last week. That performance against Oakland was hot, terrible. This was a team that wanted to get their coach fired. There was no effort offensively. There was no effort defensively. And Vance Joseph will be gone. But I'm going to say it. I think John Elway should also be getting the bye-bye. If it wasn't the legacy of John Elway and his Super Bowls, I think that this question would be far more discussed. I do not think he's done a very good job. You look at this. This will be the 3rd straight year that this team has not made the playoffs. This is the 2nd straight year that they've not had a over 500 record. The first time since the 70s that this has happened. He's had a good draft this year. There are some good things coming. But there's a lot of problems in Denver. I think that there's a culture problem in Denver. And, the Chargers will win. The Chargers will win handily because Denver's not showing up. And I think that there needs to be a serious house cleaning in Denver right
now. Chargers are going to win. Broncos have had a lot of issues as of late, and they really have quit on Vance Joseph in every way. After that Broncos loss where they knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, it just they checked out in every way. And you saw it on Monday Night Football. Jason Witten was calling out people at the end of the game. Whether if it was, the right thing to do as a commentator, that's none of the business. But
I did not have a problem with him doing that.
I'm just saying if people are going to call you out on national television, you know that people can see it as fans. It's that obvious to everybody out there. So that being said, I think the Chargers are going to win pretty easily, and Vance Joseph's getting the boot.
All right. Rams, 49ers. LA Rams are at home in this game. And, of course, the Rams need to win this game to secure the number 2 seed and the bye. The Bears can sneak over them. And I've purposely jumped past the Bears game on purpose because I want to get to that near the end. I am picking the Rams because they have something to play for here and they're at home. But I would not be surprised if the 49ers make this close and competitive, as Kyle Shanahan has sort of had that Wade Phillips number over the last couple matchups. And the 49ers have played great against the Rams. I think they beat them both times last year. And the game, this year, I don't remember what the score was.
It was a lot to a little for the Rams.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The game, I just think the 49ers have played better recently. They beat the Seahawks. They were close against Chicago, and they're trying to play spoiler. They're one of those teams that kind of gain form as the season goes on, as we've seen with Shanahan over the past 2 seasons. Hopefully next year is finally the year where the 49ers can be playing for something more. But I think this year the Rams will take it. But I think the 49ers will make this competitive enough for the Bears to keep their starters in the game against the Vikings.
CJ Anderson will be playing this game again, who had 168 yards against the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, it's just the 49ers just are not a talented football team. They're trying. They're making an effort. They got a really solid tight end in George Kittle. They just will need to continue to improve offensively and defensively as well. They just need to continue to draft. We'll see what happens with Jimmy G next year. Nick Mullins might be a guy that a lot of teams might be interested in picking up. He hasn't been terrible.
Dylan, did you just hear what Kevole said? He says George Kittle was what?
Solid?
Yes, he add him to the solid team. He's on the solid team. George Kittle, very solid. Kevole described.
Listen, I got a fantasy story for you. Okay, you listen. Here.
All right, I'll listen.
This is heartbreak. If any of you had fantasy heartbreak, this is fantasy heartbreak. I was down by 1 point. Okay, when Philip Lindsay breaks his hand.
Ouch.
And
for both reasons.
Yes. And they hand it off to Doug Martin at the end, just before the 2-minute warning, and he gets stopped at the 6-yard line. And I lose by 0.4 points. I lost money.
Kev, that's another reason to donate to the Kevole Fund. If you hit the super chat, you can donate to the Kevole Fund, as we did lose some money on the fantasy football.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think the Rams will win this and hold on to the 2nd seed. And I just will say this. I think the C.J. Anderson pickup was a pretty wise pickup for the Rams.
Well, he actually had more yards after contact than Todd Gurley's ever had.
Yeah, as I brought up on Sunday. That's insane. That's absolutely sad, but I mean, whatever. Gurley's great. Don't worry, Kev. I've been adding up the totals for our videos in terms of the money. I was doing that today, so don't worry. You're going to be in good spirits today. Well, we'll be at the end of the year. We still got playoffs to do, but pretty solid. I'm going with the Rams. I like the 49ers' heart. You know, if there's one thing that I got to give credit for teams like the 49ers and not teams like the Broncos, is that they still play with a lot of heart. And maybe they not win those games, but they play and they try for their coach because they know Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. And Rams are going to win, but I like what the 49ers have tempted to do.
Okay. Let's go with the Seahawks. Seahawks coming off a huge victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Kevole, how do you see this game against the Cardinals? The Cardinals that you fear. You said, let me quote you. You said the Chiefs would be easier than the Cardinals.
Yes, because the Chiefs, Kansas City is a better football team, so it's easier to get up for that. And Arizona has won the last 3 times they have played in Seattle. That's right. The Arizona Cardinals have won the last 3 times they have played in Seattle.
Wow, that's
so I do not want the drastic stress of a playoff position in this game. I didn't. I would rather there's some guys that need to be rested, like Fluker or McDougal. At least get a half in. Excuse me. Get your first half in, whatever. Get the win, etc. I do expect the Seahawks to win this game. I do not expect what happened with the 49ers. I think that they're going to go in really sharp. I think that this team is in a good position for the first round. But I do think that this is the time that I think that we should give some congratulations to Larry Fitzgerald if this is his last game. This guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer. There is no doubt about it. He is in the top 10 all-time of wide receivers that have played this game, in my opinion. The guy has been consistent. The guy is class. It's very unfortunate he played in an organization with 14 fans, but he wanted to stay there. He loved the community. He is a great human being. So congratulations, Larry Fitzgerald, on a fine career. I don't think he's back next year, but who knows? He's one of those guys that doesn't want to leave his team, and I guess you can respect that. And he wanted to play with one team, but he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question, no debate about that at all.
Yeah. If he had won that Super Bowl 43, would have been like dirt, basically, in a way. So you're picking the Seahawks, I'm assuming. I will be very sad if the Seahawks lose. Like not in terms of me crying emotionally, just sad that they lost to the Cardinals. I have all confidence in trust me, I'm not saying this as a dig. I have all confidence in the world that the Seahawks are going to win because the Cardinals are the worst team in football, even worse than the Giants. The Giants are the worst organization, but the Cardinals are the worst team in football. And I know it's been some strange luck that the Cardinals have won so many times at home against the Seahawks, or against, at Seahawks home, but gotta go Seahawks.
I will remind you that those Cardinals teams were actually decent, and that also was with Arians, not with this goofball as a coach. Let me explain to you how bad the Cardinals are. They lost 40-14 against the Atlanta Falcons, 31-9 against the Rams. They scored 3 points against the dreaded Lions defense. They lost by 35 to the Chargers. They lost to the Raiders. They lost by 35 to the Broncos.
There you go. That's the one I was looking for.
They lost 34-0 to the Rams. They lost to the Redskins. This team is awful. Okay? They beat the Packers and they beat the 49ers twice. Other than that, they're garbage. This team is awful. Josh Rosen will give the Seahawks like 3 touchdowns just by giving them the football within their 30-yard line. I think I said this on here. I think the Cardinals offense has scored teams more points recently than the Cardinals defense has allowed. Hey, think about that for a second. Like, I literally think that the Cardinals offense puts the defense in such terrible positions. We'd be talking about the Cardinals defense as like a top 5, top 10 good team, good unit. But we can't because the offense is so god darn awful. The Seahawks will win this game. They'll win this game handily, and they will just run into the playoffs. And I think there's going to be a lot of hype about the Seahawks because of Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. But personally, Kev, I do not fear the Seahawks as a road team. If they were at home, I think that's a totally different story. On the road, I need to see it with my 2 eyes.
That's a good start for the Cowboys matchup. I'll feel better about that.
I'll say this: I think it's offensive that Russell Wilson's not in the MVP conversation. Look at his numbers.
I think it's offensive. Elliot Harrison.
I think it's offensive that people are still saying Drew Brees is the MVP.
He's not the. I'm sorry. It is.
It's not even that. It's like Drew Brees is in the MVP, and if he's not, your eyes are shut. Like,
and it's like, did you guys watch this? You guys watched the Steelers game, right? Do you remember that one call where Romo was like, "Oh my God, what a throw by Drew Brees"? Tony, the throw is 5 yards.
It was a great throw.
He dumped the ball off to Alvin Kamara. Tony, it
was a fantastic throw.
And Tony then that other play where Brees tips it down, Jim Nantz is like, "Oh my God, look at Drew Brees playing defense. Wow."
He's going to get in as a defensive lineman, guys. He's going to get in everywhere. Okay? This is the old
See, I don't hate the Saints. I've never hated the Saints. I've been on the Saints bandwagon since day 1 this year. But can we stop with Drew Brees as Jesus Christ? Come on, man.
48 touchdowns to 11 picks. How is that not MVP? And he still got 1 more game. Unbelievable. And going to have 5,000 yards. Insane. Yeah.
Vikings, Bears. I want to hear why Kevole has the Bears picking up a victory over the Vikings.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's one of those situations. This is what I'm going to say. Let's have a little bit of a chat about Kirk Cousins. This is a game he has to win. This is a game that you spend your $28 million or whatever you did on a quarterback. He's got to win this game. right? I think that there's more pressure on Kirk Cousins. But this offense for the Vikings, even with the switch to Kevin, can't pronounce the guy's last name. What's his last name? Stepniak?
Staniak.
Yeah.
Stepniak.
Kevin. It's not that much better. They're running the ball a little bit more, which is what Mike Zimmer wants to do. But Adam Thielen has been nowhere to be found the last month and a half of this season.
Who?
Adam Thielen.
I might have to put out. I've never heard of this guy.
Google is your friend.
Okay.
But this defense for the Vikings, it's a good defense. The Bears are willing to get into a low-scoring game. They're not. Their defense is tough. I think the Bears are going to get a touchdown on defense, and I think that the Bears' offense will do just enough, and I think the Vikings are going to miss the playoffs.
Dilly Vanilli.
Well, I have 6 games different than Mitch, which would technically mean I have a chance to take it. But if I want to sell myself as one extra game, if Mitch can win one game, I'll make it I'll buffer it up a little bit. So I'm going to take the Vikings because I'm assuming you're going to take the Bears, even though I'm going first here. Or you can be a dick and pick the Vikings also. If I'm going to pick the Vikings, though, Kirk Cousins has been ridiculed by myself included and a lot of other people as not being clutch. Not showing up at the biggest moments, at the biggest stages. He got a fat contract. I mean, a PHAT contract to come to the Vikings and get victories like this, to get in the playoffs. I'm imagining they probably wanted to be in a better position than this with the contract that they gave him, but you need to at least get there to prove your worth. And right now, I know the Bears are a very, very good team, a very solid team that are doing the best. I think they're going to be a contender in the playoffs for sure. But the Vikings need to get it done here, and everything has to work in order for this to happen. And I think they'll squeak out a victory. I mean, a squeak 60-minute grueling battle to the ages. I think the Vikings are going to get it just by a little bit.
Well, Dylan, you guessed wrong. I am taking the Vikings, and that's not because I'm being a dick. I'm actually taking the Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings because they're at home. And I've said this all year, the Vikings, they don't travel well because their offensive line is not good. But I do believe that when they're at home, they play better. I think that they win a defensive game 20-14. I think they just want to win the game more. I think it's simple as that. They want to win the game more. Zimmer will pull a couple tricks out to confuse Mitch Trubisky on defense. Offensively, I think Thielen and Diggs will make a couple of plays that just really good receivers make. I understand the Bears defense is really good, but sometimes there's some things that are uncoverable, and I think they're going to make some plays. And I think Kirk Cousins will make some throws and get them into the playoffs. I'm not sure if they'll go very far in the playoffs, but I do think that they're going to win this game to get into the playoffs because they're at home. Fans are going to be going nuts, and they will need this win, and they will get this win.
And if they win, we'll have the exact same matchup in the playoffs. So there you go. We'll see. Maybe this is an indicator. I don't know. There you go.
Colts.
Here's the question. If you're the Bears, who would you rather face?
The Vikings. Seahawks?
Vikings.
Because I mean, I know we're talking about we're both we're picking the Vikings to win, but in the come playoff time,
this is how big of a difference for me home field is for both teams.
Yeah.
Vikings. Colts, Titans.
You brought up the analogy very early on in this video, which feels forever ago, but I still must agree. Titans games are never exciting. I remember they were playing the Patriots in the divisional round. I'm like, this fucking blowout. The best game I've seen them play in probably the last 5 years was that Titans-Chiefs game, which was in the playoffs. This is going to be an interesting matchup because early on in the year or preseason, we didn't give the Colts a whole lot of victories because we didn't know about the health status of Andrew Luck. I think that's the only reason we put them down that low. But Andrew Luck has been comeback player of the year. I'm sorry, J.J. Watt. He has been tremendous. He's thrown really great passes. He's putting his team on edge to make it to the playoffs after they've been terrible without him. And I think he's going to finally finish this job and get it done with a solid clutch victory. I'm going to go with the Colts. And I think the biggest thing is this. I think that Andrew Luck has the clutch factor. Marcus Mariota does not. I know he won a playoff game last year. People will say that was clutch. I think Andrew Luck has the clutch factor, and I don't think Marcus Mariota does. Going with the Colts.
So Nashville, there's a city in Canada. Many of you have heard it was in the playoffs. Around April, May, you heard of this city in Canada and Ontario. Mitch lives there. It's often called Toronto, but in May, it was called LeBronto because LeBron James walloped the Toronto Raptors. Now in December, there's a new town in Tennessee, and it's called Luckville. Andrew Luck has never lost to the Tennessee Titans, ever. And
10-0.
I don't know.
Do it here. This is the Jarrell Casey's down. I think that's huge. Mariota is not 100%, so it's probably playing Gabbert. This will probably be a very high-scoring game and Henry will run. But I just think the Andrew Luckville is going to continue, and the Colts will be in the playoffs. And I'm not this year not worried about them, but next year I seriously think you need to look out for the Indianapolis Colts because they have one of the brightest futures in that conference going into the next couple of seasons for sure. This year, not sure. Next year, I'm interested.
Okay, Colts, Titans. I'm going to narrow it down to two things. First thing I will say is I think the Colts defense is going to be the reason they win this game. I think Andrew Luck and the offense will play well, but the Colts defense has been pretty underrated, and I think they'll pretty much be on everything that the Titans want to do on offense, whether it's Gabbert, Mariota, Steve McNair. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for the Titans. I think they're
rest in
peace. Yes. I think that the Colts will be all over that, and they'll stuff the run. Derrick Henry will have his 35 carries for 45 yards, and the Colts will go on to win. I am also saying this because I just don't want the Titans in the playoffs. They're so boring. The equivalent of a Texans-Titans game for me in the playoffs is Bengals-Texans we saw twice in a row in the playoffs a few years ago. I just don't want to see it. I'd way rather see Andrew Luck and the Colts. So I'm going with the Colts because they're way more fun. They have Andrew Luck, and Luck is going to ball out in this game. And as Kevole said, undefeated Luckville strikes once again. They will go to 11-0 with Andrew Luck versus the Titans. All right, Dylan, let's go over the comments one last time, and we will see you later.
All right, let's scroll back up here. We got some Rams picks, of course. The robot guy agrees the Broncos are extremely hot garbage. That is one way to call them, extremely hot garbage. Kyber? I'm going to go with Kyber as the name. Eagles win 35-10 against the Redskins, and the Rams are going to beat the 49ers 23-13. We must get solid T-shirts. I think me and Kev have to get these solid T-shirts together. That would be a very good group project. George Solid Kittle and Chris Solid Jones, both guys. I guess
no, it should just be solid on the front, and then on the back it should have the names of all the players that are solid.
All the guys, just all of them. Both of them should have made the Pro Bowl. I think Kittle did, but Chris Jones didn't. I really don't understand how, but.
You should honestly make a video, Dylan, of the solid players in the NFL.
As a troll.
The solid NFL players of 2018.
I will get so trolled for that. I mean, it'd be great, but
you're trolling yourself.
I'm trolling the world. They're all solid guys. It's a swerve. Let's see. Mike Glennon should start for Arizona on Sunday. Who? I don't want to see this guy in the NFL.
Isn't he like a $300 million guy?
He has stolen the bank, Kev. He's heisted them. I don't know does he have some kind of secret information about every team he goes to?
Maybe. He's got some dirt.
I don't even know what happened with him on the Bears. That was embarrassing.
That was even worse. He started 4 games. Here's the thing. He's the 3rd best heister behind Sam Bradford and Brock Osweiler.
Brock Osweiler's name is the heist, so it's like hard to be out heisting him.
He is number one. Sam Bradford, though, give him his money. Larry Fitzgerald is great, one of a kind, absolutely. Percent chance that he retires in the offseason. I don't know. 70?
I'd say 83.
Who?
Fitzgerald.
86.
86. So we're pretty high on the retirement level. Although he still plays decently well.
Okay.
Bears win 20-17. Rob has no confidence in Kirk. And Durkamp follows it up by saying that Kirk always loses big games. Mike Zimmer will be on the high seat in 2019, says Rob. That is interesting. Did not expect that. Shit, I just lost my place in the chat.
Well, I actually don't think that's not a invalid argument. You fired your offensive coordinator that you hired.
Yeah.
We're not on the same page.
Well, you would think if you fired your offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, like maybe you would give your head coach more of an opportunity. I don't know. Maybe that's just my thought. Maybe you give him a second chance, or not a second chance, but more of an opportunity to gel with the new offensive coordinator. Or else you would have fired both of them at the same time. Who knows? Azid says the whole world wants the Colts to win, so we don't have to see the boring-ass Titans in the playoffs. This is a fact we can all agree on. Let's see. Coach says Dan Pastroni. What is
Pastorini?
Pastorini. That's close enough. What does that mean?
He used to be a quarterback of the Houston Oilers.
Wow. So he's going to be fine. Bro, if Stephen A. Smith was analyzing this game, you're guaranteeing that's how it's going to work.
Eddie George in the backfield.
Mitch versus Dilly in Madden. When? Ooh.
Maybe off season.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff planned, guys. Don't worry about that. And Matt Nagy, this is a good question. First of all, well, wait, okay. Tyler asks Lamar Jackson over Cousins, I guess, in fantasy, because there's still some championships being played.
Okay, should I even answer? Like, why are you playing fantasy in week 17?
It happens, bro.
Yes, Lamar Jackson.
Okay, but here's a good question: Matt Nagy or Pete Carroll for Coach of the Year?
Nagy.
And I say that with all due respect to Carroll.
I would say Nagy, but give credit to Pete Carroll. We did not think this team was going to be anywhere good this year, and they did not start off very hot. So, the fact they're in this position, well deserved.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to NFL Week 17 picks and predictions with Mitch, Kevole, and Dilly Vanilli of the Bottom Line View. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, Gronk, spike that like button and subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more. Kevole, where can they find your activities, your projects, and also
KVLE, iTunes, Agree or Disagree the podcast. Lots coming up. Go subscribe, follow, etc.
Dilly?
Big plans.
Anything, Dilly?
We'll have a video up Friday. Still working on it. Don't even know what it is, but I will get it out there on Friday for you guys. I have a little bit more time since there's no games being played up until Sunday, and you will get the famous picks and predictions video Monday morning as early as possible. Because
I'm putting mine out 12:01.
Okay, I'm putting mine out at 9 a.m. So there you go. We are going to have those We're going to have those videos out. I will be working.
Mine will probably be in the afternoon.
Wow. So we're going to have 3. I like that. So I will be working day and night after that live stream to get
day and night.
That's a great song. Gotta love some Kid Cudi, old school. So yeah, you guys will see me there twice in the next couple of days. Don't worry. Well, actually 3 times because we have that big live stream for the Colts Titans. So, and you can follow me at Twitter at @DillyVanilla.
Yes, you can. You follow me at Mitch Milani on Twitter and at Mitch Milani on Instagram. And for my projects coming up, my top 10 quarterbacks of all time, did not quite get it out on Christmas, but I finished the list, finished the entire compiling of the list and all the statistics. So now I'm on to editing the video. So that will be out probably, hopefully by New Year's, I'll get it out. So that's the present for you guys over the Christmas break. Top 10 quarterbacks of all time from me only, not from these guys, but from me. So look forward to that video. Also a fantasy video I'll be coming out as requested by the coach. He asked me to do a top 20, top 30 fantasy players for early for 2019. So that's another video to look out for as well. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View, Dilly, and Kevole. Peace out.
Peace.